Okay, so now we're going to birthday cake and simplify the -3 times the square root of 216. So I'm going to start with 216. I'm going to kind of ignore this -3 to begin with. So what I want to do is I want to birthday cake 216 because that's what's inside my square root right now. So I'm going to go to my calculator, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to see I've got to divide 216 by a prime number. So I'm going to start with 3. I know I could divide by 2, but I want to see if it's divisible by 3 because I want to try to get my number smaller. And it's going to give me a quotient of 72. So I'm going to say 3, and then I'm going to put 72 here. Well, now I'm going to see if 72 is also divisible by 3. And it is. I get 24, so I'm going to say divide by 3, and I get 24. Well, I know that 24 is divisible by 3, and that's going to give me 8, I believe. Okay, well 8 is not divisible by 3, so I've got to stop dividing by 3. I know it is divisible by 2, and that's going to give me 4. I know 4 is divisible by 2, and then 2 is divisible by itself, and now I'm going to get the 1 that I need for my birthday cake. And so now I'm going to rewrite the square root of 216 as the product of 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 times 3 times 3. If I multiply all those numbers together that I have just highlighted, I'm going to get 216. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to write -3. I'm going to leave some space, and then under the square root, I'm going to rewrite 216 as the product of all these numbers. So 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 times 3 times 3. So you can see my square root kind of grew a little bit on me. All right. So now I've got to make groups of all my prime numbers. And remember, we're going to make groups based on our index number. And if your index is invisible, it's a 2. So I need to make a group, as many groups of 2s as I can with the same number. So it looks like I can make one group of 2s. And remember, when you write this out here, you are going to only write one representative per group and then one group of 3s. Okay. So now, remember, we are multiplying all of these numbers. I do not have the number -332. I have -3 times this group of 3s, so times 3, and then times a group of 2s, times 2. So -3 times 3 times 2. So I'm going to multiply all that together. -3 times 3 times 2. That's -18. So I'm going to have -18 times the square root of, and then I'm going to multiply all of my numbers that I have left. 2 times 3, which is 6. So -18 times the square root of 6 is the simplified root of -3 times the square root of 216.